Did you know that about 6 years ago, Simgot actually released a planar magnetic headphone called the ET1000? And are you now wondering why the hell I'm bringing up a headphone in an IEM review? Well, that's because the ET142 is actually a revival of the ET series from Simgot. And I did inquire, and ET is not an extraterrestrial, and it is not phoning home or any other. You know what? Let's just roll the B-roll. Hey, what's cracking everyone? My name is Ryan, and today I'll be discussing this latest Simgot IEM, the ET142. I want to send a big thank you to Linsol for sending out the ET142 in exchange for my thoughts and opinions. The ET142 retails in for $220 and features a dual driver system nestled inside the CNC machine alloyed shell that uses a standard 2-pin 0.78mm connection. That driver system consists of a planar magnetic driver with a grid array symmetry, which will take care of the bass, mid-range, and overall treble response, as well as a custom multi-layer PZT ceramic driver that will mostly be responsible for the sparkle and airiness of the ET142. As for some quick specs, it is 14 ohms of impedance and has a sensitivity of 118 decibels. Those are the averages given at 1 kilohertz, and I do find the 142 to be easy to drive and not overly sensitive or apt to noise issues. Included with the ET142 are 4 different tuning nozzle options. The newest stock nozzle is a blazed titanium nozzle that goes through a high temperature flame bluing process that makes each nozzle truly unique for the user, and the colors can vary from blue and purple to even red and yellow. It's a pretty cool way to make the IEM individual to each person. As for the other 3 nozzles, you will get a gold-plated copper nozzle with a yellow silicone ring, and then 2 stainless steel shorter nozzles that are identified by either black or red silicone rings. Those nozzles include foam filters inside of each of them. You'll also receive extra silicone rings and filters to extend the lifespan and tuning system of this IEM. As you can imagine, each nozzle will fine-tune the IEM to give you a different sound signature variation. We'll talk about that momentarily. Also, I'm curious, what are your thoughts on tuning nozzles, especially including so many? Do you find yourself really changing them out that much, or maybe just sticking to 1 or 2? Let me know in the comments down below because, I'm curious. Quick interruption here, guys, to remind you to like videos like this one if you do like them, and please do consider subscribing to the channel. Also, I do have a Patreon. If you'd like to become a member of my Patreon, I have a special Telegram chat that you can get involved with. I'll do some behind the scene things and also alert you guys of upcoming projects to make it worth your while. With that, guys, let's get back to the video. As for the rest of the package, you will get a magnetically latched case that's big enough to fit the IEM, cable, and maybe a couple of accessories inside. This is the same case that was included with the EA1000 for those of you keeping track of Simgot products. The included cable is a more premium, thick, and interchangeable cable this time around. You get the option for a 3.5 connection, or you can easily switch that out to the included 4.4 plug as well. The cable is also a bit on the heavier side when comparing to other Simgot cables I've had in the past. You'll also get plenty of different tips in the assortment included with the ET142. I guess you could say Sim got you covered. Yeah. The 142 is on the smaller end of the spectrum as far as the size and shell is concerned, which should make this a pretty good fit for most people. It can be cool to the touch considering it is an alloy construction and it's pretty dang shiny. I did have one issue that I think is important to mention, and that was on the seal. Once I figured out which size and shape combination of tips worked best for me, I thought I was good to go with no problems, but I was wrong. The problem that I encountered was strangely due to the ear hook on the cable itself. Remember how I said the cable is a bit on the heavier side? Well, that can cause the IEM to slightly pull out of my ear every now and then to where I find myself needing to reseat them inside. It's annoying, and I deal with it, but I wouldn't be surprised if others will encounter this as well. You could easily just swap the cable out for another of your choice, but it's a shame because I do like the quality that this cable seems to have going for it. Now it should come to no surprise when I tell you that this is a fairly simple IEM to pair up with pretty much anything that you want to. It's lower in impedance and it's high in sensitivity, but it doesn't really have a lot of issues with noise. Not having any BA drivers, I do think helps that, and the fact that, planar drivers and things, it's just gonna be very easy to drive. I paired it up with my phone, with laptop, a simple, cable dongle that I had. I even paired it up with something like that. Now, I do have preferences for synergy, and to no surprise, guys, this is my biggest synergy preference, and this is the DC Elite by iBasso. It is just such a good dongle DAC, and it's what I use for pretty much everything because it just pairs so very well. But I also use my Hi-Bi R4 Evangeline series DAP that I'm really loving this thing. It's got a lot of cool features to it, and I could do some EQing and thing if I want to with the ET142 if you so choose, but all I can say is pair away and you should be satisfied. Oh, and one little bit of a curveball that I'm throwing in is the iBasso Nunchaku. This thing is fun and it's a tube DAC. So yeah, if you want to add a little bit of flavorness, if you want to add a little bit of flavor to your audio, this thing has been a lot of fun to use, and I used it with the ET142. It gave it a little bit thicker of a bass response and did kind of sort of a tube thing with an IEM. Pretty damn cool. So yeah, that worked too. So when analyzing the sound, I mostly focus on the Blaze titanium nozzles since they are considered the stock option and newest to the Simgot lineup. With that nozzle, I find the ET142 to provide an extended low end that does have some rumble down low when a track can call for it. It's definitely elevated a bit in that region to give you some extra kick or slam. That means that mid-bass will be a bit more linear and has a nice transition before moving into the mids. Mid-range is full to my ears and has a touch of forwardness, but doesn't cross the line when it comes to being harsh. I especially notice this as we move into the upper mids and into the 3K region that can provide some attack. I do find a decent amount of punchiness and presence to vocalists as well. Then the treble has a decent amount of clarity and at times can give a bit of a slight sizzle. It's definitely better than some of the other Simgot offerings I've heard in the past. There's a good amount of detailing in the brilliance region and gives a somewhat intimate but overall sweet tonality. It's pleasantly detailed to my ears. Now, when I started to experiment with different nozzles, it wasn't too difficult to hear those differences. The gold-plated copper nozzle, which I'm pretty sure is the same as the EA1000, provided an overall warmer experience. Not quite as punchy and dynamic, while also being a bit sweeter in the treble and lightening up that sizzle that I spoke of. It's said to be more balanced, according to the website description, and yeah, I mean, that's kind of how I would call it. It does still maintain that extension of bass, which is more related to the driver tuning than the actual tuning of the nozzle, in my opinion. Moving on to the stainless steel nozzles, and things change even more. For instance, the red ring nozzle is definitely a darker presentation. What's interesting is that the nozzle is said to provide more clarity, but I think due to the included filters also thickens up the sound, so your perception may differ, kind of like mine did, versus the description given for them. Then the black ring nozzle was the most dynamic of all nozzles given. It gave more energy to the music, but then also introduced that extra bit of harsh nature to the mids and sharpness of treble that may be a bit too much for some to handle. What's nice, and I'm guessing intended, is that I did enjoy the Blaze titanium nozzle the most of the four options. After all, this is what the ET142 is highlighting, so it would make sense for this to sound the most refined as it did to my ears. For that refinement, I found myself enjoying a wide range of music. Hip hop had that extra bit of rumble down low while not being so stabby on the lyrics that I can experience on some gear. Rock and metal music provided energy to the rhythm and pacing, fast beating drums, and grippy enough guitar solos showcasing the planar driver and its capabilities. But then listening to something more relaxed, such as classical or even jazz arrangements, and I was able to discern instruments thanks to the implementation of the PZT driver. I would even say it's got a good amount of depth and layering for this price point, though still not an overly wide stage to my ears. In fact, I didn't find any genre that I didn't enjoy. Even vocal-focused music had enough clarity and definition to allow me to enjoy the individual artists that I love to hear. Everything works together in this harmonious driver system to provide a musical enjoyment when I listen to the ET142. So when comparing the ET142, I thought it would make sense to talk about the EA1000. The EA1000 is priced exactly the same as the ET142, and I feel like if you're going for a Simgot $200 IEM, the two of these make a lot of sense to consider. And you might be wondering, what would be the benefit of going to the 142, or if there's still a benefit sticking with the EA1000? Let's talk about that now. So the EA1000 features 3 nozzles. The ET142 has 4 sets of nozzles. So right off the bat, you're gonna see an added benefit of the ET142 for that. Also, the EA1000 is just a single-ended cable, whereas the ET142 comes with a single or balanced option with that modular connection. Now, look-wise, as you can see, looking at the EA1000 and the ET142, they both have that shiny silver shell, but the EA1000 also, if you look at that, has that faceplate on there that is more of a white clear, whereas this one is completely shiny metallic, if that matters to you. Tip options, things like that, those are gonna be pretty similar. Also, the cable itself on the ET142 is of a higher quality as far as feel goes, and it's got some weight to it compared to the EA1000. This cable is still good, don't get me wrong, but like I said, it's just gonna be a single-ended compared to a 4.4 or single-ended option that you get from the ET142. Also, the ET142 is slightly bit bigger on the shell, but it's not a ton bigger. I still think both of these fit really well. Now, as far as sonic differences go, I think that's gonna be the biggest thing, and probably gonna be the biggest choice for anybody considering the two. The EA1000 is definitely more of that Simgot flavor sound signature that we're kind of used to, that is very present, has a lot of clarity, but can get a little bit harsh for some people depending on the nozzles and tunings and the IEMs that you go for from Simgot, because that's kind of their house sound, I should say. Now, the EA1000 with those 3 different tuning nozzles, I still like the gold-plated copper the most, just because that is kind of the newest tuning nozzle that they included with this IEM, and I felt like it was the most fun, the most balanced, I should say, and still had a lot of that clarity and things going with it. But when I compare it to the ET142 with that blasted nozzle that is included on this one as their standard, I gotta say, the planar and the piezo combination there give it some of that extra bit of details without being sharp or harsh, whereas this one has good details, but it ends up being a little bit sharp and harsh at times. And it's interesting because we're talking about a dynamic driver out of the EA1000 versus planar and piezo out of the ET142. It's just the implementation of it, and I do think they have fine-tuned this one to be a little bit more refined in that nature, and also a little bit more tactile. I did find that as well as we talk about that upper end, that treble region. Now, the EA1000 doesn't have the big bass boom that the ET142 can get. The EA1000 is gonna be more of that mid bass. I did find it with dynamic drivers to have a little bit more punchiness to it at times, depending on the track, versus the ET142. This one I think has more slam to it though, and both of these do fairly well as far as the attack nature in general. If you happen to already own the EA1000 and you got the ET142, I could kind of see that, because then you get even more tuning nozzle options between changing both of them out and seeing what you think between the two. And I think there's enough of a difference in the EA1000 that maybe you would want this one as well. But I gotta tell you guys, I think Simgot in kind of a way kind of canceled the EA1000, because hands down, I would take the ET142, but that's just me. Now, I like a lot of clarity. I like a lot of presence for my vocals, but I don't want it to be over the top. And I feel like this one can get just a little bit over the top at times. And man, I love bass. And the bass on the EA1000 is good, don't get me wrong, but on the ET142, it is more satisfying for me and what I want out of it. That's my take on the comparison between these two. This is the best sounding, in my opinion, Simgot IEM to date. Feel free to look through my previous Simgot videos to see that I've heard quite a few of them, in case you want to question that statement. Now, here's the biggest problem I see with the ET142 and many, many, many others. If you simply go to Linsol's site and do a search for IEMs in the $200 to $300 range, you'll find over 40 different results. That's just going through Linsol. That's also why I didn't try to compare this one to others outside of the Simgot brand, because, I mean, have fun making the choice. I hate to be the Debbie Downer here, but that's the current climate of IEMs that we're in. It's exciting, frustrating, and convoluted all at once. Now, do I recommend the ET142? Absolutely. If this sound signature fits your preferences and you are looking for an IEM that will more than likely be a good fit to many sizes and shapes of ears. This is also a great time to leave your comments on this topic in the comments down below. Everyone, I would like to thank you for taking the time to watch this video, and I will see you in the next one.